Hello Zion, today is a good day. It is a day where I get to finally announce phase one of our church's relaunch. This is something that we've been working on for a few weeks. We have the details, we're ready to release them. I was working hard on them on Tuesday, was wrapping it up, about to send everything out to all of our ministry leaders for, hey, here's what you need to know. And then our premier came up on Tuesday and changed the game and we entered stage 2 of our relaunch as a province, and as part of that, there was a pretty wide opening of the previous guidelines and restrictions that had been on churches. So what I want to do today is, if you are unaware of what these guidelines are, just to give you a brief summary of some of the more important notes in the new guidelines and that are relevant to us, and then talk a little bit about what does that mean for our immediate future, and then share at the end what is our now phase 1 relaunch as a church. So for the guidelines, a couple of highlights, things that are in there. The government is still strongly recommending churches not to meet, but the door is still open, and in fact, they've really softened many of the previous guidelines. There's now no cap on attendees for a worship service. Previously, it had been 50 people, but now there's no limit. And in our facility, because you still have to maintain physical distancing, we figure we're in the area of about 100 people we can have in the church at one time for a Sunday morning service. There's now, for weddings and funerals, you can have up to 100 people. So Charlotte and Kyle, this is good news for you guys, starting to open up the door more and more for your wedding coming up in not too long. Indoor gatherings, the limits have been bumped. They used to be at 15, now they're up to 50. And then outdoor gatherings used to be 50, and now they're up to 100. So the numbers are ballooning. They're quite a bit bigger than what they were before. We got some more clarification as to what a faith-based activity means. There have been some, so for those numbers of no caps, faith-based activity, it includes Bible studies and prayer meetings and all those sort of things. So we got clarity on that. There's encouragement for attendees to wear masks. That's there. Children under 2, before they had to be held by parents. Now they've softened that, and they have to remain very close. They're not allowed to wander, but they don't have to be held by their parents as previously listed. Congregational singing is still discouraged, and this is a hard one for us as a church, because as we've talked about, singing is so important for us. There's still no congregational singing. They're allowed humming and things like that, so that's a strong restriction. And for child watching and that, nothing under the age of 2, so we couldn't have our toddler room functioning, but for ages over 2, you can have Sunday school type classes. That the doors have been open for that. Now, what does this mean for us? Does this mean that for this Sunday, for June 14th, all right, we'll open up the doors, come on in? Sadly, no. As much as I want to say yes, it's still sadly no. We've been working on preparing the facility. We've been meeting, the trustees and the staff have been working closely together. We're not ready. In fact, I can say definitively that we won't meet in June. There's just no way that we can get all those things together. But we're seriously, prayerfully considering July. And so no promise on my end from that, but just to let you know that I do promise, I guess, that nothing in June. We're not quite ready. But what we are ready to do is to enter phase 1 of our relaunch, something that we've alluded to before, that we've been working on, that we have all the details now together. And phase 1 of our relaunch is the opening of midweek gatherings. And we've provided some guidelines. Those are going to be going out today to our ministry leaders. And I wanted to give you just a brief highlight and summary of our practices here at the church. So for our midweek gatherings, we have now opened up the church as a place that we can be meeting during the week. So we can have, youth can meet here for youth events, or you can have your community group meet here, or you can have your ministry leaders meeting. This church is now open, but there are guidelines. It's not open like what it was before. Any meeting that you hope to have at the church, it has to be booked through the church office. We've been blessed with a large facility with lots of meeting spaces, and in the past you could kind of have a last minute unscheduled meeting and find some space to meet. We can't do that right now. We're limiting the space to one group per night. This has helped control our numbers, and it's also to help make it easier to facilitate the cleaning and the administration, that we can keep a better track of what's happening here at the building. And all meetings that you want to have at the church, they need to be, I'm standing here in the fellowship hall, we've set this room up as our meeting room. So any meetings, you need to have them in this space, exception being music team, clearly you need to be upstairs to practice, so we're not going to change that. But this space is open for meetings. And right now our limit is still to 15 people. We are looking at potentially bumping that in light of the new government guidelines, but these are current guidelines. Those new ones, they don't need to go into effect till tomorrow, so I'm happy to read these ones as the current guidelines. Now, we also, clearly, we can be meeting outdoors, and there's already been a variety of outdoor meetings, and they've gone quite well, and it's been great to see everyone. These gatherings, they must be limited to 50 people or less, and then also they need to practice the safe physical distance, all that sort of stuff. And I forgot to say this at the beginning, but these guidelines, we require these for any official Zion ministry. So if you're meeting as young adults or youth, or missions committee is meeting for a meeting, these are the guidelines that we do require you to follow. But these also, I think, are helpful for you to think about if you're just having people over for a social visit. There's just some notes here I hope you'll glean and take some good stuff from. But outdoor, 50 people or less. Now for indoors in homes, we strongly discourage meeting in homes. I think it's really difficult to maintain the proper physical distancing inside of a home, but we do know that you don't always want to meet outside if the weather's bad, and that's why we've opened up the church. This church is available for you to use for ministry-related meetings or gatherings, and so you can use the church for that. And indoors, limits to 15 people or less. Now, if you are thinking about having a midweek gathering, something that we'll be sending out is just a list of steps, like what you can do, and this is helpful even when you're having people over. So I want to give you those procedures now. The first thing, if you're wanting to have a meeting, the first thing that you want to do is you need to determine the location. What is the best place, the safest place for you to meet together? Now again, if you're wanting to do the church, make sure you reach out to the church office, you book the church for the night that you want, and then you go from there. The second thing you want to do is you want to make a plan. You want to look through the different guidelines and restrictions and recommendations and figure out, okay, what do we need to do to make sure that we adhere to this? Do we need to have someone looking after attendance? Do we need to make sure we have the Lysol wipes that we need? We need to make sure we have the chairs, all that sort of stuff. You want to make a plan for, okay, this is what we need to make this safe. And then after you make the plan, the third thing you want to do is you want to communicate expectations. You've done all this work, you now want to share that with the people planning to attend your meeting. You want to let them know what you expect from them. How do you require masks? Do they need to bring their own food? Do they need to bring their own lawn chair? Those sort of things, you want to communicate the expectations. And communication during this season, it's all the more important. It's always important, but I think it's all the more important now. Then the next thing you want to do, the fourth thing, is you want to do screening and take attendance. So we've put together a short little questionnaire that you can ask of everyone as they walk in. It doesn't take very long. We made a bit of a game of it at our last youth event last week. Just as people walk in, you're just asking questions related to if they have any COVIDs that are associated with or symptoms that are related to COVID. You're asking if they've been tested positive, or if they're awaiting results, if they've left the country, those sort of things. Just want to do a short little screening. And then we need to take attendance. We have an attendance form that we'll give you. You want to record everyone's name. And the reason why we want to do this is, God forbid, in the event that someone does have COVID and they come to the event, we need the attendance record for contact tracing. so that we can look out and let them know that, hey, someone was tested positive, you need to isolate yourself for 10 days. So after that 14-day period, after the event, we'll destroy the attendance, but we do need you to take attendance at any event. And then the fifth thing, if you want to have an event, you need to clean up afterwards. And so you need to think about the sanitizing, cleaning the bathroom, all that sort of stuff. You want to work on that. And then the last thing is, if you do meet in an official ministry capacity, you need to submit attendance to the church. And this is just for record keeping. We'll destroy it after 14 days, unless it was with youth and kids, because we need to hang on to that for Plan to Protect. But we need to hang on to the reporting. So that's phase one of our relaunch. We're now really opening up the door, and I think, as I said, it's a little awkward because this is when we'd normally be wrapping up our ministries as a church, and now we're finally opening up the door for some stuff. But we do open up the door for us to start gathering together in person during the week. And as always, if you're, as we've been saying all along, if you're not comfortable leaving, if you're not comfortable participating, you have the church's full support and encouragement to continue in your own discerning spirit, because we're navigating this together. We're journeying with each other as we need to journey. And so please know that though we're opening up the door, we're by no means pushing or enforcing or even really encouraging us to meet. We're just at least providing guidelines in the event that you do want to meet in your ministry context. So what can you do? Well, we have still a long ways to go. We have now these new set of guidelines that we have to discern. What are we going to do? Are we going to meet on Sunday mornings or are we not? Church leadership is praying through this right now, and we ask you to join us in prayer. Please pray for us as we navigate this journey, and pray for in your own spirit to see if God speaks to you in any way. The other thing you can do is begin to discern as a household of whether or not you would participate. Think about what would need to be in place before I would be comfortable participating in a midweek gathering or participating in person on a Sunday service. We don't want to be too reactionary. We want to put a lot of thought into this. So start that process now. Start thinking about, okay, the door is serious. There's, for the first time, a real potential of church gatherings happening not too long. How do I feel about that? Am I comfortable with that? Do I need more restrictions? Do I need more opening from the government, or do I need to wait to see how these relaunches are impacting our case numbers in the province? Just begin that process of discerning what you would do as a household. So, Zion, I am excited. I'm excited that we're talking relaunch. We're not talking shutting down. That's a good turning of the page for us, and we still have a long ways to go, but I'm encouraged for where we are. If you have any questions or you want to talk, please reach out to me. I'm leaving on vacation from the 15th to the 21st, but you can catch me after, and I'll be happy to talk more about what we're doing as a church, and be happy to hear any suggestions that you have. So thanks, Zion. I'm excited. I hope to see you soon.